issues that come to mind is that, I mean, this again, back in the day when I was young, that would be 30 years ago, right? I would have known about the folk tales. When my grandmother would tell me, don't go in the bush after 6 o'clock, and all these things. But I don't see, I'm not sure, because, but I don't see where we have the same that type of literature, stories for all kids to learn. And then again, as some parents who weren't influenced by that type of storytelling, all they know is Jack and Jill and Grimm's Brothers tales and so forth. So the kids don't know this, and as you go on generation to generation, they will not know and not know. So,
but they will not know only if those of us who know
do
not tell.
Yes.
And do not find ways to infuse in the society. Mm-hmm. And do not find ways to infuse that connect with now. Mm-hmm. We really cannot be talking. You see, let the one be true. I'm not saying for a minute that we need to keep this thing back in the 18th century. I'm not saying so for 1 minute. I'm saying that the world moves on. I have moved on. You have moved on. All of us here have moved on. All of us live in computers. All of us live with tablets and iPads and iPods. So the age of the donkey cart is long past. Let us understand that. But inherent in that age of the donkey cart were certain ways of doing things. And we need to keep those memories alive. There was even rhythms that the music carried. We can't just discard them. And they must carry over and influence the way in which this new life moves. They must influence. And when they do, they are going to color things in a different way. They will significantly impact the way in which we do things that define a form and style of this Caribbean. As it is, by what you said earlier, there's a form and style that, as you say, is metropolitan New York, metropolitan London. But I'm saying if even we are doing New York, we can do New York in a way that is Trinidad. But that can only happen if we are grounded in certain cultural realities that are ours. And that's what we have to find. That's what we have to have an active search for. That's why Desi Voisin was so important. That's why to this day Sparrow is still so important. The man is old now. And still, as he opens his mouth, he speaks to me. In all kinds of ways. You're Tobago? Axe back is so seminal to what takes place in Tobago. I mean, these are people who have whose work naturally springs from the fruit of the folk. You know, I'll tell you something. When in 1979, when I was halfway working with Moses for the first time, before I even had the idea of saying, look, this thing can't just be a book from Moses to West Village. It has to be an institution called Moscow Theatre. While I was ruminating on these things, and I'm saying, you know what, I need to go and study something. I need to go and study something. You began to tell you, man, study theatre, what are you going to say? Just a conclusion. Study science, study this, study that, and we have to make some money. And I said, because I'm grappling with Moscow, And it's a blind leading the blind. It's a blind who just has some idea, some notion about this thing, but really the blind leading the blind. So I went up to the Billy Holiday Theatre in New York and looked around and met a man called Scott Kennedy, J. Scott Kennedy, and he said, we're going to set up an internship there. He was teaching at Brooklyn College in New York. He was running the Black Painters Workshop at Brooklyn College. He took me over there and I see all these massive colleges. Brooklyn College is Jewish. So they have equipment. I see all these massive, I see this massive lighting board, what you call a tram. I see all of this sound equipment, all of these stages, the Ward Whitman Auditorium. I mean, I see all 2 black box theaters. And I'm saying, my God. And he said, no, you don't need this. You need to go right into an internship. And I said, but this man is crazy. This is what I need. And I told him, I said, well, sorry, but this internship will not do. I need education in the theater. I need an education in the theater. I need to deal with all of the arts in the theater, all the visual arts in the theater, the graphics, the musical arts, the dance. I need to do all of that. The literature. And that's how I ended up in Brooklyn. Did a double major, education and theater arts. And in my last year, I discovered a graduate course called Drama and Education. I said, what? I applied to do it. It took me reluctantly. I did, I aced it. But that opened up a whole new world. Introduced me to people like Nellie McCaslin, Grace Tanner Street, Winifred Ward, and all these people, Dorothy Headcott. And then, in my final few weeks in that program, who can walk in but Nellie McCaslin, who wrote the book on creative drama in the classroom. And I learned that she's teaching at NYU down the road, and I said, look, I must be graduate book there. And I came back, I did some plays here, and I'm looking to go back to my grad, and people are saying, we're going around with you, we're going to study a thing. Because you know how we study. I learned this nowhere. It's just raw talent going on, and there's a big boost about that. That is nonsense. And when I went to NYU, did my master's in education and theater. And that again was another experience. That's when I began to experience. In fact, I worked with musical all through that time, using primarily educational theater techniques, using mainly creative drama exercises, working through all of those various sporting games with them, and not what one would call serious drama in the theater. And everything that we did was geared towards this developmental drama type thing. And that's what made the world different. That's what made the world different. I mean, trying at all times to translate what I was learning there into form and style and content that suited us. Constantly grappling with that. Constantly grappling with that. And constantly getting permission from my professors to spend the 2 weeks here. And when I go, I have to do a presentation so I understand what I'm doing here. And we go, and we relate the one to the other. You follow what I'm saying? Constantly trying to make it make sense. And that's when I began to even value more this work with West Village. Even more this work with the spoken word poets. Even more the work with Rapso and People Resistance and even more I work with Ramila, my work with Jose and these things. Even I began to value these things and cherish them even more.
Just we get a shot because we are going to the time. The last question I have, I don't know if I've skipped anything that you'd like to ask, but at this period in time, what are you doing? I know you're teaching, you're lecturing here. What is your role within the what is your role in the arts, culture, society right now?
I don't know. I had a very varied life. I was permanent secretary of Ministry of Culture, permanent secretary of Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Rural Affairs for a number of years, permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and head of the Foreign Service, ambassador to Cuba. And all these things sort of broke up the attention I was able to give to the arts at any one time. I have since dedicated myself to getting students here. I started the Sunday with Royal Gibbons in 86. When Royal started here, and I've always part-time lectured here. I saw it as a duty I had to at least part-time lecture here. And when I got back from, in 2006 is when they began ramping up the attention I gave to the stage. I would direct plays for them, I would present things. There's some courses I would normally take, just routine. In 2010, when I got back in from Cuba, I sort of committed myself to giving as much time as possible to the department, especially on the directing course.